This is just for you, Annie. Um, First of all, when you start a counseling class, the first thing you should talk about is confidentiality. What stays in the session, what happens in the session stays in the session. And this needs to be emphasized from the first day, the first meeting, uh, and it needs to be reinforced as the meetings go on. You also need to have when you do a lecture, a group processing thing, you need to have a timeout plan, which means if somebody gets upset, they need to know what do they get to leave the room, what do they need to do. So you need to set that up. Now there are four pluses of group counseling. One is cheaper, right? Instead of one person, you're doing four or five. You're not the only one because everybody else in the room has the same problem you do. You get social support because you got people around you. And what do we do in real life? We deal with people. That's the fourth one. So this shows you how to deal with people. A lot of times we have counselors on one-to-one. The client gets great with the counselor, but when they go out in the real world with other people, they can't function. So those are the four pluses. Now, group counseling basically has a special focus. There's a reason why you're calling the group together. I don't care if it's educational, personal, psychological. There is an interpersonal process to group counseling, which means that there's got to be some introspection, which means you expect the clients to look back into themselves and try to explain their behavior, try to understand what's going on. Also, group processes. You have a group process counseling. You're doing it to problem solve. There's got to be a problem you need to be solved, and that's determined by the members of the group. Do I want to become, less shy, or become understand how to use the computer, whatever the case may be. And the last one, you expect growth. You know, you're not going to have 8 or 9 group sessions if you don't expect the members of the group to be better. So we usually have, in counseling, we have specific focus, we have interpersonal process, we have problem oriented, and we have growth oriented. Now, I gave you a handout of the 6 facilitating responses. Those are the 6 you would do in a group process. And when a lead is a group leader, you want to do 6, 5, and 4 less, and you want to do 1, 2, and 3 more. And on the test, I'm going to give you an example, and you're going to have to match it to the facilitating response. So look at that, and then get back to me if you don't understand something. Now, there's 3 types of groups. There is group psychotherapy, when we see on TV all the time, would focus on treatment, remediation, and personality reconstruction. This is when somebody has a psychological problem, right? You deal with the present and the past, and sometimes the past is more on some types of like psychoanalytic and Adlerian, and then for REBP it's not that much. And it's usually long term. You can't solve these major problems that took a whole life to develop and then solve it in a 50-minute session. It's going to be over a long period of time. Another type of group process is a psychoeducational group, where you design for a specific purpose. And you teach or provide information. So we're going to say, okay, here's what we have to do to stop the COVID-19 thing. We'll wash our hands, we'll keep social distance, we'll wear masks. So you in a psychoeducational group, you learn specific skills. And it's usually very short. Sometimes you just one group session. The third is task groups. And that's designed to increase group functioning. So if you have people in a business and you want them to function better, you might have a group processing session on how to get more productivity. It's usually centered on some kind of problem we need to solve with the group. The last thing in the chapter 1 is the difference between self-help and support groups. Self-help groups, support groups. Usually both of them have a certain population, right? And they both have a central theme, a common identity. that links members. There's a central issue to both self-help groups and support groups. It's usually more working within the group, into the support group or the self-help group. However, there's a difference between self-help and support. Self-help emphasizes internal group resources. Self-help means that you get the development inside the group, where support groups have outside resources. We're going to learn how to use what government agencies or some social worker or something like that. So self-help, you're trying to get better, right? But you're going to do it internally. Support groups is, we have, unfortunately, somebody dies, and so we have bereavement group, and we're going to call in outside counselors and stuff to help them get through this terrible situation. Finally, the book talks about multicultural counseling. Now, as the country is getting more and more diverse, okay, I said diverse, right? Okay. We have to understand the culture that the people come from. For instance, Latinos do not like to talk negatively about their families. So it's hard to get them to talk about things negatively in families, where as Americans, we'll trash everybody. So there's a lot of challenges within a person because of the cultural differences. So you have to understand the different cultural context that the client is coming from. And so that is session 1. I've gone through it really fast. I didn't put in all the neat little things we would do in class. If you have any questions, Annie, just get back to me on that. Okay? Bye.